Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my most disappointing books of 2022. If any of these books are your all-time favorites or you really enjoyed them, then please don't get upset in the comments because I said something about one of your favorite books, because everyone has different tastes and different preferences, and just because something didn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. And you know, we're all here just to talk about books, and it's really not that deep. Like, they're just books. So if I say something about one of your favorite books, then please don't get upset because you knew what you were clicking on when you clicked on this video. So with that out of the way, I'm going to be talking about my most disappointing books of 2022. Some of these are also the worst books of 2022, but I didn't want to make two separate videos. So the first book on this list is also the first book that I read this year, so I was really starting off the year on a very good note with a 2-star read, and that book is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I don't know where to begin with what I did not like about this book, because I have a whole lengthy Goodreads review about it full of like spoilers and quotes and everything. But if you don't know, It Happened One Summer is one of my all-time favorite books, all-time favorite romances. Like, I just loved that book so much. It just worked so well for me. Like, I loved that book. So when I saw that there was going to be a follow-up in the same world with Piper's sister, I was really interested and really excited. Like, I pre-ordered it and everything. Like, I could not wait for this book to come out because I just really wanted to read it. But when I read this book, I just became really frustrated with both of these characters. Like, Hannah has her insecurities and how she just feels like she's not gonna make it in the film industry, but I was just really getting irritated with how many times she kept referring to herself as the side character and how she just kept feeling like she wasn't as good as her sister. Like, it got to a point where I was like, okay, we get it. Can you, like, please say something else, because it was getting really frustrating. And then we have Fox, who is basically a man whore who just sleeps around with basically everybody in town, and that he kind of has a bad reputation for it, and everyone's always talking about him and like whispering about him, and that really gets to him, and it's really one of his biggest insecurities, and it just gets reinforced time and time and time again when he lets his friends just walk all over him and he doesn't really defend himself. And it gets to the point where his insecurities and the things that people are saying about him are hurting his relationship with Hannah, and it was just too much. I just really could not get behind these two very insecure characters getting together, like especially Fox. I feel like he really needed some therapy just to go through, you know, his trauma and his insecurities, because it was a lot and it was hurting Hannah, and I just was not a fan of it. And then also the sex scenes were very questionable. Like, some of them, the consent was very questionable, and I was just not a fan of how the conflict at the end was resolved, and I just did not like this book at all. I'm so upset because I really thought I was gonna love it, like a forced proximity friends to lovers romance. Like, that's right up my alley, but this just sadly did not work for me. This next book, I had heard so many good things about it. Like, it was everywhere, and I think it still is kind of everywhere, so I was really excited to read it because I thought that I was really gonna enjoy it, but it ultimately was just kind of disappointing for me, and that is Lord Olympus Volume 1. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling, like Greek myth retelling, and it's in graphic novel format, and I love the art style. Like, just the colors and the illustrations and just the way that everything is illustrated is just so beautiful. But the actual story itself, I did not care about. It was fine, but it really wasn't anything groundbreaking. Like, I was expecting more from it, and maybe the other volumes do have more, but I don't think I care enough to read the other volumes to see what happens. Maybe I will. I'll get it on like Libby or something, but it was just kind of disappointing. I can't really pinpoint one specific thing that didn't work for me, but I think I just had too high of an expectation for it. I didn't really connect with the characters, and the story just didn't work for me. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. It really is not like objectively a bad book at all. It just wasn't really for me, and I was just kind of disappointed with it. Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon is another book that was kind of disappointing for me. In this one, you're following two characters who work in a weather station. Like, one of them is a weather girl and the other one's a sports anchor, and they kind of have a little bit of a romance starting at the beginning, but they also have this workplace tension because their bosses are also exes. So you can imagine that everything in the office is kind of awkward when both of them are around, and it's not exactly the best working environment. So the two main characters, I don't remember their names, Russell and Aria, maybe, I don't know, but the two main characters, they decide to band together and kind of parent trap their bosses by setting up these little dates and these moments where they can really reconnect and get to know each other again and hopefully fall back in love, so that the workplace isn't such a miserable place to be. But I just found that there was too much focus on getting these two characters back together, that there wasn't much development between the actual hero and heroine, because we focused so much on these external characters that I couldn't really connect with the main romance, and I wasn't really rooting for them to get together because there wasn't much development between them. It was just way too focused on the other couple that I really did not care about, and it was overall a cute romance. Like, they had their cute little moments, but it just wasn't the most groundbreaking romance for me, and I wish that there was more development between the main couple. This book, I don't want to talk about this book because I know so many people are gonna get upset about it. This next book pains me to talk about because it is a new release from one of my all-time favorite authors who has written two other romances that I love so much. They're some of my all-time favorite romances. So when she announced this book and the premise of it, I was so excited for it. Like, I pre-ordered a copy from an indie bookstore, and then when it officially came out and I still didn't have my copy, I went out and bought another copy at Target because I just wanted to read it so badly. But then when I did eventually get to reading it, I could not finish it. I DNF'd it at, I think, 40-something% because I just was not connecting with the story at all. And that book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I know so many people love this book, and I thought I was gonna be one of those people, but I just could not connect with Nora and Charlie. I did not care about their romance. I really wasn't feeling the chemistry or the tension between them, and there was also just too much going on with Nora's sister. I don't know what her name is. What is her name? Libby. Like, there was just too much focus on Nora and Libby, and Nora was really just way too involved in Libby's life. Like, Libby is married with kids and she has another baby on the way, I'm pretty sure. So there's really no reason why Nora needs to be so involved in her life. Like, I get that Libby is her little sister, but she is a grown adult with her own family and she can take care of herself. Like, Nora was just way too involved in Libby's life to the point where it felt like she was mothering her when Libby is already a mother. Like, she doesn't need someone to be mothering her because she is a grown adult. And I just really wasn't feeling the chemistry between Nora and Charlie. I was, I think, like 50% into this book when I DNF'd it because I just did not care about their romance, and I didn't care about Libby or Nora or anything that was happening in this one. I just really thought I was gonna love this book because just the premise of it, rivals to lovers in the literary world. I really thought I was going to love this one, but I was just so disappointed with it. Like, if I did finish reading it, I probably would have given it 2 stars also. Same with Hook, Line, and Sinker. Like, it just wasn't what I was looking for, so I'm really upset about this one. I don't want to think about it. This next book was actually my second time reading it because I had to read it for a reading experiment, and also I just thought I was really going to love this book this second time around because my reading taste has changed and now maybe I'll see it through a different light and it'll become a new all-time favorite book, but it just ended up being even worse than the first time that I read it, and that book is The Night Circus. I don't think Erin Morgenstern's writing is for me, or just her stories, because they're just very slow moving. Almost nothing happens in this one. It's like 400 something pages, or like 300 something pages, and just like nothing happens. It is so slow moving, and I was like bored out of my mind reading this one. I was struggling so hard to finish this book for that video. Like, I was listening to the audiobook, I was like skimming it, like I was just trying to do everything that I could to finish reading this book because I did not want to DNF it because I was reading it for that video. The writing in this one is beautiful and the world is also really beautiful, but just the plot itself, there's nothing happening. It's so slow, so like boring. It was a mission to get through. Like, at one point I just wanted to like throw this book out the window because I just wanted to stop reading it. I did not want to be reading this book, and I normally don't force myself to finish books that I'm not enjoying, but again, I was reading it for that video. But yeah, this is probably one of my least favorite books ever. So those are all of my most disappointing books of 2022, but I do have an, I guess, honorable mention. I didn't want to include this in like the main list of books because I have not finished reading it. I don't know if I'm going to, so I can't officially say that I DNF'd it or not, but I just wanted to get my thoughts and feelings out about this book to see if anyone else feels the same way, because I just feel like I'm in the minority here when it comes to this book because so many people have read it and loved it so much, but so far I'm just not really connecting with it at all. And that book is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Another book that was really anticipated for me, and I was really excited for it to come out. I pre-ordered it from the Harvard bookstore and everything. Like, it's signed by R.F. Kuang and it has the little pre-order prints and everything is falling, okay. But yeah, I was just so excited for this one because it was going to be a dark academia fantasy that talks about colonization and the dark side of academia, and it was just going to be so good just based on everything that I had heard about it. But so far I'm on chapter 3, which I know is very premature, but I'm on chapter 3 and I'm not really connecting with the story at all. I haven't picked this up in I think 2 months, and I have no desire to pick it back up again, but I don't know what to do with this one because I want to keep pushing through because I feel like I'll really enjoy it, but it's also a bit of a chore to read because there's a lot to kind of analyze and there's also a lot of footnotes and stuff, so like it's a very intensive reading process and I'm just not really in the mood for that right now. I don't know if I'm going to properly DNF it yet. I might, but I've also only read 2 chapters. I haven't even read 3 chapters. I'm on chapter 3, so I've read like 40 something pages, so I know it's really early to like DNF it or anything, but I don't really like to force myself to read books that I'm not enjoying. So this is sadly one of those books. It's just not what I'm in the mood for, not what I was expecting. Like, it's very dense and I'm just not really connecting with the story at all. The writing is beautiful. There have been so many quotes that I have tabbed. Like, I was really enjoying reading this at first, but then when I realized I still have over 500 pages or something left to go, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So yeah, if anyone else has similar thoughts about Babel, then let me know down below because I feel like I'm in the minority here. I feel like so many people love this book so much that it kind of drowns out the negative / mixed reviews on it. So yeah, this is my like honorable mention, I guess. So yeah, those are all of my most disappointing books of 2022. I really had such high hopes for all of these books, but I was just ultimately let down by them. And yeah, I'm thinking about these books just makes me really upset. Like, there's so many books in here that I thought were going to be new all-time favorites, but instead they're new all-time least favorites. But yeah, so let me know down below what your least favorite books slash worst slash most disappointing books of 2022 were. If any of these books were also your least favorite books of the year, then let me know down below, because I'm really interested to see if anyone else has similar thoughts and feelings on these books, because a lot of these are super popular books that I just sadly did not like. But yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.